Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning in and checking out my latest video. Now, this video is going to be talking about the matchup between Mark Hunt and Roy Nelson in the UFC heavyweight division. Now, when I first heard these two were fighting, I was very excited about this matchup. Both of these guys match up very well styles-wise, and this fight is going to be an absolute all-out war. And this could go down as a fight of the year candidate depending on how long the fight actually lasts. So let me first get into Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt is a former Pride and K1 fighter, so he will be returning to Japan, where of course Pride was made famous. And when you look at Mark Hunt, he's got an excellent left hook, he's got a solid chin, and this guy shows a ton of heart throughout his fights. Roy Nelson, on the other hand, is a guy who has this big overhand right he loves throwing. He has an excellent chin, and he actually has an underrated ground game. Sometimes when you watch Roy Nelson fight, he even puts his opponent in the crucifix position, which goes to show you some of the ground skills that Roy Nelson possesses, which you don't often see due to the style that Roy Nelson fights. Now, when I look at this matchup, who do I think will win this fight? Well, if you're looking at advantages in the fight, I think that Mark Hunt possesses a better cardio of the two fighters. I also think that Mark Hunt is the more diverse striker by far. I mean, he does have a K1 background, which is very high-level striking, and I think he uses different punches more than Roy Nelson does. I think that Roy Nelson relies too much on his overhand right, and I think that if Mark Hunt can game plan how to avoid the big right hand from Roy Nelson, he will have a lot of success in this matchup. Now, Roy Nelson, I feel, of the two fighters, definitely has a better ground game, so if he wanted to incorporate some takedowns in his fight with Mark Hunt, that could be something that could be successful for him, but I definitely see him standing up and brawling throughout the fight. I also would have to give the edge to Roy Nelson, the one-punch knockout power, especially his overhand right. I haven't seen too many guys take that punch and be fine after that. So those are just the advantages that I think both fighters possess. Both of these guys have both fought some good competition as well, so I'm going to say they're even in that regards. You got Mark Hunt fighting JDS. You also have Mark Hunt fighting all these great fighters in Pride. And you also have Mark Hunt fight Antonio Silva in a classic heavyweight matchup. And Roy Nelson, on the other hand, has been in there with Verdum. He's been in there with JDS as well. So Frank Mir. So he's fought some good competition overall in general. So my prediction for this fight is going to be different than some of my other videos. This is the way I think the fight is going to end. If it goes by an early knockout, I'm going to have to say Roy Nelson will be winning the fight. If it goes to the decision, I think that Mark Hunt, with his cardio advantage and more diverse striking, wins the fight. So that's just my prediction for this fight, guys. If it gets stopped early or is a stoppage in general, I'm going to say Roy Nelson. And if it goes to decision, I think Mark Hunt wins this fight. Let me know what you guys think about this classic heavyweight fight. This should be an excellent matchup. You don't want to miss it. Saturday night, live from Japan. I'm sure Mark Hunt is going to have an unreal response, so you definitely want to check that out, guys. And I thank you very much for tuning into the video. Much appreciated.